If you're watching this video, I'm going to assume that you applied for a role and the hiring manager has reached out to you and said, hey, I'd love to talk. Let's meet at a coffee shop. And you're sitting there wondering, okay, but what about your office or like your office? Why a coffee shop? How about your office? As someone who's been in recruitment for 13 years, I'm going to tell you this is actually a lot more common than you might think. I'm going to tell you why they do it, how to prepare, and what you should expect. Let's go. So first and foremost, why? Why, right? So this is actually pretty common. I have a lot of hiring managers that I've worked with over the years who like to do this because it is a good, low pressure way to meet someone and have a casual conversation. So typically they want to do this because they don't want to avoid the stiff, uptight, nerve-wracking interview process that is coming into an office, sitting in a conference room, talking to a hiring manager. They want to get an idea of what you, the person, is like, connect with you, learn more about you in a low-pressure situation. And for the most part, that is why hiring managers who do this like to do this. They want to learn about you. They want to see if you would be a good fit in their team culture, in the overall company culture, and they want to do it in kind of a lower-pressure situation. That's why. Quick note here, if the hiring manager is in any way unprofessional and it seems like this isn't an interview, this is someone who likes me and wants to get to know me and there is nothing work-related being discussed and it seems almost like a blind date, then yeah, I would get out of there. Most of the time this is not the case, but I am not so naive to think that that never happens. If this is the case, then leave. So how do you dress, right? That's probably the next question, right? You're like, well, it's a coffee shop. But it's still an interview, so what do I do? My advice here is the same as it is always when someone asks me about dressing up for an interview. It is always better to be overdressed than it is underdressed. Imagine you show up and the person's in jeans and a t-shirt, and you show up in khakis and a button-up shirt. Do you feel awkward? No, you don't feel awkward. You feel probably pinky up, classy, right? Well, what if you show up in sandals and jorts and a t-shirt and this person shows up in a suit? That feels terrible, so don't do that. So my advice is always business casual. You can't lose with business casual. Now, picking the place, you actually want to put some discretion into picking this because what you don't want to do if you are employed is go to this meeting, sit down in this meeting, and then your boss or your coworker walks in, and then you have to explain later why you, during possibly working hours or right before working hours, are dressed up, sitting talking to some person who looks like they could be a hiring manager or looks like some person who you're having a business interaction with, and then you have to explain that to your team, to your boss. You don't want that. So my advice is whenever you're picking a coffee shop, make sure you pick somewhere not in close proximity to where you work, because trust me, you don't want that awkward situation. So what about preparing? How do you prepare? So my advice here is you always want to over-prepare. No one has ever said, oh man, what a waste of time. I was over-prepared for my interview. But plenty of people have said, I was not prepared enough and I let an opportunity slip through my fingers. I don't want that to be you, so still prepare. Still do all the things that you would for a normal interview. But you might also want to be prepared to talk about more casual things. So prep answers for questions like, what do you do in your free time? When you're not working, what do you do? Tell me about some of your hobbies. The whole point of an interview in a coffee shop or a restaurant, for the most part, is they want it to be more casual, more comfortable, and there is certainly the chance that you're going to be talking about things that aren't 100% work-related in an attempt for you to learn a little bit more about each other. So Ben, what if this goes well? What then? Well, then you will probably go to more formal interviews. Most of my hiring managers who like to do a first meeting in a coffee shop do that as a precursor to having you come on site, meet with them, other members of the team, maybe meet with HR. It's just a great casual introduction to the interview process. But if you do well, there is absolutely more standard interviews to come. Now, most of what I've been describing is if you are like an applicant, you applied, now you're interviewing. What if you have this through networking or something else? Well, that is entirely different. It could just be a networking meeting, but even if they don't have a job posting, and you're assuming, well, this is probably just networking because I reached out, I didn't apply, you should still prepare as if it was an interview. Because many times there are positions posted on websites or not posted. And if it's not posted, they might still be able to hire for this. Or this could be an introduction that leads to you being hired 3, 6, 9 months down the road. So even if it's just a networking thing, I would take all the advice I've already given and I would apply that. That is key. You want to maximize every single interaction like this in the professional world. Now, while you're there, you are still going to need great interview questions to ask this person. Do you have some in mind? No? Well, guess what? This is a video I made, and I made it for you, like specifically for you, because I want you to have great interview questions when you go and talk to this person. So do me a favor, when you're done here, click this, and we're just about done. Click this video, go watch it, it's going to help.